Over to you, Dr. Partha.
Okay, so thank you, Irfan, and good afternoon to everyone. Today we are going to actually get into the scope management. So last two sessions we actually given you introduction to what project management is, and then we also talked about the integration, which is how a project manager integrates like a manager or coordinates like a manager various elements and aspects. So today we are going to do one of those elements which the project manager integrates. So the most important one, almost at the beginning of the project management, is the scope and its management. So today I'm going to give you some pointers and some thoughts and some knowledge. And I want you to be more interactive in terms of being able to use this knowledge to put into a project that you're in. I understand that some of you do have a project like a startup. So, and some of you will probably have projects if you're working where your bosses will give you uh, projects to deliver right from the beginning. So these sessions are going to be extremely helpful, specifically if you're pitching for funding, if you're pitching for prospective new buyers, or probably looking for a way to communicate what you are engaged in. I think scope management and today's session is going to be very helpful. So what we are going to do is I'm going to ask you to do two activities. The activity number one is right here. Uh, and I would like you to write those uh, as we progress. Because we don't have much time to actually engage and see what you're writing, so it will be more like your own self writing based on what we learned today. But all that you need to do is write the first activity, which is a project scope or what we call a project charter. Okay, so some of these project charters you can actually, whatever you write, uh, you can upload in the Utopia platform so that your other friends can see and then can learn from you. Similarly, if others also put in their write-ups, you can also learn from others' write-up. So that way, you will learn much more because, as you know, this is a skills training. The skill here today we are learning, can we manage project scope? The management of the project scope is a skill. It's not only knowledge base, but you should be able to write a scope or write a charter and manage the project scope or the project charter. So that's the skill we are trying to get today. So if your pen and paper is there or your notepad is there, can you write down about, first you think of a project that you have in hand. It could be if you're in startup, you already have a project. Uh, if you are working somewhere, maybe currently some work is going on, which is like a project the bosses have given you. If not, you can consider a past activity or a past project, and it could be a simple project like going for a picnic, as I always mention, going for a holiday, or maybe building your own home or any construction activities. So think of any one project and quickly can you write down what was in scope or what is in scope. That means what will you include in the deliverables, and also try and write what you know is not included. That means that will form part of the exclusion list. So while I'm speaking, can you note down, because these will help you in terms of practicing the skills. So I'll give you half a minute to write down about which project you have in mind. And in the question answer session, maybe I can help you more on any specific project that is in hand that you need some help. Uh, yeah, like a mentor and a coach. So think of a project and write down what is included in that project, just some bullet point. And if you're finding it challenging, that means even we know scope management or heard of this, it's so difficult when someone tells you write a project charter, which means we have skill gap, but we will be fine after today. So write down what was the project and write down what is the inclusion, what was included to be delivered. And then you write down what was excluded. Just for example, suppose the project is organized in a birthday party for yourself. In inclusion, you will write it's not snacks. Exclusion, you will write not snacks, and in inclusion, you will write dinner. So inclusion could be there are some dance and music. Inclusion could be there are some prizes to be won. So whatever is in scope in the birthday party, if that is a project. So write some inclusions and write specifically what could be the exclusions that people might expect, but you might have to tell them, no, this is not included. More you practice with me, you will create these uh, tools for yourself. Okay, and this is going to be helpful for any project from now to the rest of your life, personal projects or professional projects. Okay, now that I hope that you have written a couple of them, you don't have to be exhaustive, just to practice. Well, the second task will be, can you divide or break those scopes into the 5 phases of the project life cycle? Now, you remember the first 2 classes we covered that there are 5 phases. That means the first phase is initiation, that right at the beginning you start thinking or conceiving a project. That's called the initiation stage. So, write which scope was in which phase. Okay, which inclusions were in which phase. So, initiation stage, or what did you do in the scope management for each of the 5 phases. So initiation, the second was planning, for example, planning your birthday party. Third is actual execution. During execution, what was in scope? For example, during execution, it could be laying the tables, laying the chairs, putting some flowers, maybe putting a signage for welcome. So those are in scope, like you're hiring a person to be in the gate and welcoming everyone with a namaste, so that's execution stage scope. And then write down what will you monitor and control. How will you monitor the scope? Suppose the scope is to serve a cake birthday party. Okay, how will you monitor and control instrument like a matchbox or something? Just give me a minute. My internet is showing a little unstable. So just give me a minute.
Meantime, please do engage on the Utopia. I haven't seen much of interaction, but yeah, definitely please connect on in Utopia. If you have not got an invitation, please let Goldie know, and Goldie can send an invitation for you to be added to the Utopia platform. But all the people who had accepted the program should have been already invited. So please go check your emails that you've got a Utopia invitation to the community and the program, and that you are able to connect on Utopia and interact.
Right. So now that you have written some inclusions and exclusions, you have divided those into 5 categories. That means 5 phases. Okay, so basically you're already getting a hang of how to manage project scope. Okay, project scope is not one size fits all. At different phases of the life cycle, you will do different scope management. Now, to do that, basically, you need to do the third activity, which is called the work breakdown structure, WBS in short. The work breakdown structure, I'll show you one slide what it means. So essentially, the whole project of organizing a party is broken up into different work in phases, stages, and tasks. Okay, so I don't expect you to complete this now, but complete this as a homework. The work breakdown structure after today's session. And the last but not the least, most important, what you are doing, you need to get it approved by your client, you have to get it approved by your sponsor, you have to get it approved from someone who is either sponsoring, funding, or making you responsible. So, so you need to also find out how to get the approval process. Now, if you have written down something about how to write the scope, basically what you have done is you have created a document which is called project charter. The project charter is a vocabulary. You must learn this vocabulary to speak with the other project managers. So when you say project charter, they know exactly what you're speaking, and similarly, you should know what it means. Now, project charter essentially means that you will have a document where there will be justification for the project, there will be description of the project, there will be deliverables of the project, there will be objectives to meet in the projects, and there will be a signature that the charter is approved. Okay, so this is a slide which will help you to understand what the charter is, but I'll take you through step by step. So if you do this with me, then you're competent as per the world gold standard of project management in scope, because three things you will have skills. One is how to conduct the project authorization activity. That means conduct the authorization activities includes conducting the charter and the signature. Okay, that is called authorization. So if you're a startup, basically you are going and pitching and someone is funding, that means you're taking an authorization from someone for funding. Your first step will be scoping of the project and writing the charter. So that is a competency you will get at the end of today. The second is you will be competent in terms of defining the scope. Now, how do you define? There are standard protocols that we'll see next. And the last is someone is going to fund you if they know you can control the funds, you can control your project, you can deliver the projects and reach to the destination. So three competencies you will be gathering, which is the gold standard worldwide, that authorization activity, definition of scope and controlling scope. Clear? Now, what is the context of that? The context of that in the project management is every project has got four constraints. Scope is one of them. What are the four constraints? Scope, cost, time, and quality. Why these are called constraints? Constraints means limitations. So you deliver a project with some limitations. The limitation of money, that is cost. The project is delivered with a limitation of time. You don't have unlimited time. So that's why time is a constraint. You deliver a project with the constraint of scope. No matter how much you are organizing a birthday party, your scope at best for the cost and time is maybe two starters and maybe three main course, and not unlimited desserts or unlimited starters. Okay, so limited scope, you're limited by the scope. So therefore, these are called constraints. And of course, quality is a constraint. I gave an example in the first class that I want to buy a smartphone. I've got only $500 as my, or what is that? 30,000 rupees, Indian rupees, as my budget. So in 30,000, I can only get one type of quality of a smartphone. But if I had maybe 1,50,000 or maybe um, $1,500, then I will get a different quality of smartphone. So therefore, quality is also a limitation. For the money, time given to you, scope given to you, quality is also limitation. Now, this is a very important triangle I want all of you to remember, because this is exactly the project manager's vocabularies are. If someone talks about what are the constraints you're working in your project, you know that person is asking you the constraints of scope, cost, time, and quality. Clear? Okay, if that is clear, that is the background, because your role as a project management manager will be to work within that constraint, and scope is a constraint. Now, with this background, the first thing that you need to learn through the exercise that we have already done is that how do you write the project charter, or the charter that has been signed off. Charter is like an agreement between two parties. So a project manager works in an agreement with the client or the sponsor or whoever is giving you the business. What is their charter? Okay, so that is the first document to manage the scope, and the second document to manage the scope is you elaborate the project charter. Project charter is normally anything between 1 page to 3 or 4 pages maximum. Now, most of the project charters are 1 or 2 pages. Okay, it's a very high level initial document. That means it's a proposal stage. At the proposal stage, you don't get into any details. But if that is signed off that yes, we are agreeing to go ahead with you as a project manager to deliver this project, then the next stage will be the planning stage, in which you will write in very great details a project plan. And in the project plan, there is one plan which is called the scope management plan. Okay, so similarly, you will have a cost management plan, a time management plan, a quality management plan, a risk management plan. So you will have 10 plans within the project plan. That is very, very detailed. Large projects will have hundreds of pages of the project plan. But for the scope management, both are important. But at the initiation stage, at the basic stage, you need to write the project charter. So we are going to get the competency today. So if you're having a startup, then please write a 1 pager or 2 page project charter. What is your project, and what is the charter? Now, for that, I'm giving you this template. It's very easy. And these are the tools that you get free, because if your bosses ask, or if your sponsor asks, of whoever you're pitching, they are very conversant with similar templates. May not be exact templates, but if you fill this in, you're good to go. That means you have covered everything that is required professionally and worldwide. So look at this later, and then try and fill this in great details. I already talked about you will write the name of your project prepared by you. That means you're the project manager, or maybe your group of people. Which date have you prepared is very important, because it will change. This will be version 1, version 2, version 3 will change, in which you will write a section justifying your project. Then you will write the description so that whoever is reading knows the project. You will have a deliverable A, B, C, D, and then you will also write what are excluded, that people by mistake should not think that you're committing to deliver those ones. So it's very important to write this section of exclusion. Now, once you have done that, you have set up your project and the deliverables. Whoever is reading knows this. Then you write the objectives. The objective could be the cost objective, schedule objective, that is time objective, quality objective, risk objectives. So you will write all the objectives here, that my objective is to spend $1 million, but the benefit I will realize is 10 times that. Okay, that's your objective. Okay, your objective primarily is that these are the kind of risks I might face, but I will overcome those risks to make sure that my project is successful. And last, I've highlighted in Red is approval. This document has no meaning if it doesn't have signatures. So unless this is signed by you and your client or signed by you and your sponsor, the scope management basic document is not completed. Okay, so signature with the date is important. So I want you to just do a one-page exercise and upload in the Utopia platform so that everyone can learn from each other. If anything is confidential, you camouflage the name of the project, camouflage any details. You don't have to give much details. But if you, uh, uh, after camouflaging, if you can write a project charter, that means you're way ahead and you're professionally qualified to pitch for any funding, or in the organization that you're working, they know that you know how to manage project scope. Having said so I expect you to have this as a homework and upload that in the Utopia platform and learn from each other. So I've already covered that these are the components of the charter. Now let me talk a little bit more about the inclusion and exclusions that you were trying to do. So the inclusion, I'll give you an example of inclusion. Like this course, this is a project. Okay, we are delivering a project called imparting project management education to a group of participants in next 14-15 weeks. Okay, so what is included therefore? It is included in the scope is every Sunday 12 o'clock IST is included for half an hour and half an hour question answer. What is included? It's every week. It's not alternative week. It's not once in a month. Okay, so that's how you write what is included, and then you write it's included for 15 weeks, not for 25, not for 52. So that's an example of how do you write inclusion. What you write in exclusion, what can be expected by common people or misunderstood, you write those as exclusions. That there are no exams here. Okay, so therefore that is exams are excluded, and because we are not giving exam, there's no marks and therefore no formal certification. You will still get a participative certification that you participate in the program, therefore you are much better off than anyone who never participated in this course. So you will get a participation certification, but basically it will not be like a university degree or a qualification from the Australian Institute, say. So write that clearly as exclusion. And the last thing is that managing the scope obviously means managing of the change process. Now, no project from start to finish happens without change. Okay, so therefore there will be change. How to manage that change, how to include what is requested as a change, how to eliminate something and how to vary something is a change management process, which is also part of your scope management. So what are the process that you follow in managing the scope? Okay, because you're managing scope, first is you have to collect the requirements. Whose requirements? Maybe your client's requirements. Sometimes you don't know your client because the client is creating a project or a solution for millions of customers worldwide. So how do you know what is the user's requirement? So first thing is to write a scope, you will collect requirements. I've given in bracket some of the methods people use professionally. One is you go to an expert who gives you, this could be the requirements of your prospective clients or users. Or you can interview people who could be of future users. Or you can organize focus groups. That means bring a group of 10, 15 people and ask them, can you discuss what your scope? Okay. Or you can create a questionnaire and send the questionnaires across, or you can create a workshop. So these are some of the time-tested methods of collecting requirements. You collect wrong requirements, you deliver wrong project, and both the project is unsuccessful, money is spent badly, your reputation has gone for a toss, and you have wasted a whole lot of time, energy for everyone. So therefore, it is the collecting requirement. Actually, I take a full 13 weeks university course on collecting requirements, like a market research. But I'm giving you in one liner so that you get the basic appreciation that how important collection is and how to do collection of requirements. Because the requirements that get translated into the scope. So that's how you define the scope, which is next. So once you know the requirements are A, B, C, D, you say, okay, I will deliver that, and that those deliverables are definition of the scope. How do you do that? How do you deliver that? By creating the work breakdown structure, which is my next slide. I'll show you soon. And then after you have delivered, you verify whether what was initially defined to be scope or collected to be scope is actually delivered. It should not that I collected orange, but I delivered apple. Okay, so therefore there is a process which is called a process of inspection, a process of audit, and a process of acceptance. Okay, that's how you verify whether the scope is delivered through actual audit, actual inspection, and actual acceptance by your client or the users. And the last one is controlling scope, which is basically how do you monitor, how do you vary the scope, and how do you manage the change process. Now, once you do that, then I'm just summarizing this chart. It, these deliverables, you can actually map.
Dr. Parth, I think your signal is a bit weak. Dr. Parker? You're muted, Dr. Parker.
Muted. Okay. Yeah, okay. Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think I lost my connectivity, but I can't see others. I hope others are
Yeah, they're all here. So if
all
you want to
there.
reshare,
I want to reshare. Okay. 1 minute. Share the screen. Here. Reshare. Yeah. Okay. I'm back again. Okay, so I'm showing you how the mapping is done, and whatever you've done initially first 5 minutes in your home exercise, now you can put them into the 5 phases. The 5 phases are initiation stage, where you determine what is the scope. Okay, so any activity of what, when you're determining what is in scope, write down against the initiation stage. Then when you're planning how to deliver that, just the planning part, that you write in the scope management plan in the planning stage. When you start actually after planning, when you start delivering, that becomes in the implementation stage. And while delivering, when you manage the quality or monitor the quality and monitor all the changes, requests, accept some, reject some, when you accept some, how do you increase your scope, which is called the scope creep. All these things comes under the monitoring stage of the life cycle of the project. And the last is you deliver the project, which is in the handover of the closing stage. That means I was supposed to create the solution, I've delivered, I've got signed off. So that's how I map. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Now I told you that I'll share with you a tool to understand the work breakdown structure. This is another vocabulary for the project manager. You must know what is work breakdown structure, how to do it. And this can be done both for scope management, cost management, and time management. Okay, that means basically 3 constraints out of 4. You can use this tool called work breakdown structure. So what it says is basically it's a visual display of a project into smaller manageable components. So we call it bite size conversion. So the whole project is like, for example, eating a plate full of all the goodies, but you don't eat all at a time. You take a bite size from the plate, and then you go step by step and then finish the whole plate. Okay, so basically all work breakdown structure should have three levels of breaking down. The first level is called the total project level. In this case, the example is construction of a two-story building. Okay, so this is a high level project, that your project is to construct a two-story building. Now then you break that into the next level. Still it is broad, still uh, it is a group which is called the work breakdown structure level 1. You can see in the example, construction of a two-story building will have foundation, it'll have ground floor, it'll have first floor, it'll have roof. Okay, then you go to the next level. In the foundation, you can say, I will do some earthworks, create some structure underground. Okay, and then you go, earthwork means some excavation has to be done, and for the structural, if you're using wooden stuff, probably termite proofing. So you can see here there are how many levels. Level 1 is the whole project. Level Second level is work breakdown structure level 1, 2 and 3. So this is the last level is called the task, because here excavation means physically you will do the task of excavation. You really don't need to break that anymore. Okay, but the excavation falls under earthwork. So there are various other activities in the earthwork, because it will be excavation, taking the material which has been excavated and dumping somewhere else, transporting to someone else, or treating them someone else. So you will see in earthwork there are more tasks, but at this level there's only one task. So with this knowledge, you should be able to write your own project from the top level project to the task level project. So how many tasks, and in between how you group those tasks into different boxes. So this is work breakdown structure. Now, how do you do that? There's a tool available, and for many of you it may be free, uh, which is your homework. I want you to practice and learn MS Project, the software, because this software is actually the software which helps you to do work breakdown structure. Okay, it's a very simple tool like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And if you don't have access, you can get a free trial version. But if you've got a licensed copy of MS Office, then this might come free with it. If not, go to the education institution that you are. Maybe the library or someone can give you a trial version or a temporary access to use it. But you must learn this, because with one tool you can manage the project very well. And I've given some links. These are all YouTube links. There's a demo, YouTube links, or just Google search Learn MS Project. If you just Google search Learn MS Project, just listen to the videos, how easy it is. And then once you learned how to have the MS project and create work breakdown structure, the project that is in your hand, you will be able to create a simple work breakdown structure for your own project. Okay, there's some chat. Please share the link over again. Yeah, I will. Irfan, can you do that? Just copy paste the link. I have just simply Google searched, and whichever one I liked. Irfan, is it possible for you to maybe at the question answer I'll do it again? Okay, at the question answer I'll do it again. Uh, but for the time being, hmm, yeah, for the time being, let me complete this. Yeah, so learn MS project. Now, what at the end you will be able to do, it will look something like this. So you have a project where you will have tasks, task 1, task 2, task 3 to task 12. you will write when the task 1 will start and the task 1 will end. For example, suppose in the initiation stage, you say that, look, I am pitching for a birthday party. Okay, so the pitch should start on 1st of March, and by 10th of March, I should pitch. If I get the signature, that means the project has come to me. I won from the client this event, and then that the task number 1 is a pitch. Task number 2 could be, now that I've won it, basically I've started the planning. The planning will start on say 1st of April and I'll finish by 30th of April. So like that. And then 7 could be that on the event day, I will start at 7 o'clock, and 7 o'clock the starters come, 8 o'clock the mains are served, whatever, 9 o'clock the dessert. So like that, you will have tasks. So you just write those tasks in the MS Office and put the start and end date, which will give you the duration automatically, or you can put the duration and any one date, and MS project actually automatically calculates, and then you will have a chart like this. So this chart is called Gantt chart, which is a tool for managing project scope, project time, project cost. Okay, so try and practice this as your homework, and I will be more than happy to help you in your question answer. So see, there's a link here, YouTube video, how this uh, how this can be drawn. Now that we have done that, so the last thing, the competencies required, the change management. As I told you, as a project manager, you will have definitely changes. Last minute, some scope creep will happen. In the birthday party example, someone will say, no, I need to add one extra item, which is the cold drinks or the soft drinks. Okay, someone will say, can we add some poppers and something else? You haven't planned that. So you should know how to handle the change, because some changes you will agree and accept, some changes you will not agree and reject, and some changes you will agree but for a higher cost. Okay, so that is part of the change management. And the second activity, therefore, will be, once you have done the first activity, which is writing a project charter, you will vary or you will change some items, just as some assume, and then consider say one change to the scope and see how you update your charter. Okay, and prepare a change request, which we have done. So at the end, I will go back to this document, which I want all of you to prepare as a trial to practice that you can create a scope management plan, or this is the heart of the what is called the charter, project charter. If it takes one page, it's a one-page charter. If it takes 2 pages, it's a 2-page charter. If you can do the charter, then you have learned a skill how to write a project charter and get it approved by your client. Clear? Okay, therefore I will summarize what we have learned today, and I've kept it simple. We do this in normal regular classes over a month. Okay, so what I've tried to give you is over half an hour, 40 minutes. So, but you have got the best in the crisp form. 1 month's equivalent subject you got in half an hour, 40 minutes. So what we have learned today is basically what is the constraint management. Because project, there are 4 constraints. Scope is a constraint, cost is a constraint, time is a constraint, and quality is a constraint. So we learned what is constraint management. I've introduced that. And within the constraint management, scope is one we have done today. Next Sunday, we are going to do cost, time. Next few Sundays, we'll do cost, time, and quality. Okay. And then we have revisited the change management, that at the initiation stage, you will have some change. At the planning stage, you may have some change. Even during execution, you will have change. Even during closing, you might have some change. So change management is constant in all the 5 phases. So with that, I will now have question answer. And you can all unmute and share what have you written, what difficulty or challenges you're facing.